Welcome to the Clemson Dubcast. We are recording this on the morning of Tuesday, April the 8th. Just submitted an article to TigerIllustrated.com that'll be out later today on while the great sensation this offseason has been and will be the addition of Tom Allen and his sort of force of nature presence. Worth sort of remembering there's quite a force of nature on the other side of the ball, coaching the offensive line, who a year ago was one of the big storylines. Matt Luke is that dude, and we tell you why and how at TigerIllustrated.com. My good friends Blake Smith and Brooke Archenhold have been part of the podcast since the beginning, way back in August of 2018. They have an accomplished team of personal injury attorneys at Parham, Smith, and Archenhold based in Greenville. They are Clemson people, and their skillful attorneys have decades of experience in complicated litigation matters, taking a special interest in medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, and neglect, car accident cases that have left the individuals involved in serious trouble. For a free consultation at Parham, Smith, and Archenhold, call 864-990-4581 or online at parhamlaw.com. That's PARHAM law.com. When you're ready for a complete renovation in your home or business, open the door to more with Harris Home and Harris Commercial. Their local experienced team will totally transform any room space, from beautiful floor coverings to construction to finished details. Harris handles every step of your renovation process, whether it's a kitchen or living room or an industrial or educational setting, like some of the positively stunning work they've done at Clemson University. Go to discoverharris.com and experience a total renovation transformation from Harris Home and Harris Commercial. Solero Communications, formerly known as Tandem Payment, is a full-service integrated electronic payments provider powered by leading-edge technology. Solero provides a wide array of merchant solutions, simplified payments. They make onboarding, taking payments, maintaining risk management and compliance, and getting support quick and easy. At Solero, they're all about helping you achieve sustainable growth as a business. Taking payments isn't the only thing your business needs. With Solero's solutions, you can manage inventory, sell products and services via social media, schedule staff, track sales, get reports, and much, much more. Find out more about Solero at solerocommerce.com. That's CELERO commerce.com. All right, we're going to talk to Patrick Sapp about the coming One Clemson golf event. The roots of this are to help transition Clemson student athletes into their careers by providing meaningful work experience and community service opportunities. Basically, life after their sport ends, and once upon a time, there was nothing involving that at Clemson, and we're going to talk to Patrick more about that, plus his observations about what he's seen from the football team over the last month and a half or so. All right, here we go. Enjoy. All right, joined by my friend Patrick Sapp. Patrick, I think you might be the most frequent visitor to the podcast. I like that fact. You might not like that fact, but anyway, congratulations.
No, man, I appreciate our discussions. And I know we talk about this a lot, and I just feel like, I don't know, there's a chemistry, and I think the things that we talk about and share, I do feel like it may bring some value and perspective to people that listen. So I enjoy our time together. I enjoy doing it. Likewise.
So we are 2 days removed from the, I don't know, when we were talking before I hit record, you said spring game or whatever you want to call it. Well, I actually got something out of it simply because it was, ones versus ones, twos versus twos. For the most part, it wasn't the split team format where it's watered down, right, and you have, a quarterback playing with, without receivers that he spent the spring playing with, and a coach might be on the other side, like an offensive coordinator, whatever. Whereas I just felt like maybe I'm biased because it moved by so fast, and that's the quickest way to a sports writer's heart is a fast game. But I'm interested. You are obviously closer to the situation. You're a football guy. You have a son, Josh, who plays on the team. So I'm really interested to get your perspective on all the different reasons that went into them choosing that particular format. I think people have an idea, a general idea, but I don't think most people have sort of as incisive a window into it as you do. So let us just give you the floor, and maybe you can give your sort of 30,000 foot view of why. It's just so much more complicated now, I guess, is the best way to put it. Maybe you can explain that in going deeper.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. It did move. And it's funny, as I was, me and Brian Dawson was talking about this, but it was when I was at Clemson, we actually did some of our spring games this way. It was really offense versus defense, right? So it's not anything new. But I know that Coach Swinney loves to rehearse game environment and situations as much as possible, because you don't get a lot of opportunities to do that, right? And so I know the spring game has always meant something to him. So I think the format change, from what I think he just chose the best thing that he could do. But I know him, he wanted to keep it as close to a game environment as possible. With that, though, you make a great point, is one's offense versus one defense, right? And you get that in practice, but you try to create that same environment and intensity in the spring game and calling it a spring game. Because to me, it was a glorified practice, right? And the way that they ran it. And then I think, with portal decisions and kids leaving, and I think, if you look at it, you protect your guys that are bona fide starters, and the guys that are competing for positions and starting positions, which, my son is competing, right? He's one of those. That tight end position is a competitive one. And, I think Coach Ritz has been doing a great job of giving equal reps and, letting, the cream rise to the top and who's going to take it. And so, I think the way they do the spring game now, you can protect those decisions a little bit in how you do that, right? And so you gear it more towards younger guys and your third and fourth string guys to get a lot of the playing time in those positions that, are competitive. Hey, you keep it competitive. You don't name a starter. You don't talk about who's leading who in what position. You want to hold off on that. And so I think that's the reason why you see the format and the way that it's going. Other thing that I think Clemson has done a great job is, even without injuries, taking care of your guys. You saw the guys in green jerseys that, you're not getting hit, Antonio and those guys. You even seen it in our secondary with those guys wearing yellow jerseys, so non-contact guys. Because the worst thing you want to do is to get a silly injury in the spring game, right? And you kind of go backwards in all your development. So they made it as competitive as they can make it. But that's why I really enjoy going to practice, because you can see the rawness. You can, there's no scripts in that, and coaches are reacting to the situations. Players are reacting to the environment for the day, so I get a lot out of practice, more so than I do the spring game. But fans showed up, man. It was hot, and got a chance to watch Josh do his thing. He's been banged up a little bit, but he played. I didn't know if he's going to play or not, to be honest. But he got out there and competing. He's competing for a job, and you got to stay on the field to do it. So he's made it through the spring, and now we're in the off season to get healthy, get stronger and faster, and make that next push.
What was his injury? Did he get banged up toward the end of spring?
Yeah, he was last week, so he didn't really practice. Probably the three to four practice that he had in that last scrimmage. Man, the first play of the scrimmage, he got a deep contusion in the shoulder. So It's one of those painful things that you have. So there's no ligament damage, thank God, and all those things, but just a deep muscle bruise in your shoulder.
You mentioned the threat of guys leaving, and you're having to balance things and to where, not really given an idea of who the starter is, all that stuff. Help me understand something. I don't even know if I fully understand this part. So after the season ended, Clemson successfully retained most of its roster, right? Like that's when the negotiations happened, including with your son Josh, and including the A-list players that were so important to retaining. So I'm curious, like, with the portal opening back up next week, are we talking like, do you have an understanding of, so even the players who re-upped and signed their licensing agreements in December or January, they could be in danger of leaving, or is it players that didn't re-up? Do you have a grasp of that? Because I don't.
It's the players. Yeah, even the players that re-up, because you think about it. I mean, if you're an older player and you're in a position where, clearly you're not going to be the starter or not play as much as you would like if you think you could go somewhere else. A lot of kids will go somewhere else because they can still get paid where they're going and, and reach the goals that they're trying to reach as far as playing. So, yeah, as a staff, you got to think about that, and you got to try to protect against that as much as possible and stay true to the process at the same time. So it's almost like, you got two, like the NFL in a sense. You have two off seasons and two free agent periods. You know what I'm saying? If you have to deal with, before your next season. And that's the tough part about the coaching environment in college football. Honestly, it's a tough thing when it comes to players and the distractions or the opportunities that they think they may see that's out there. So you have to manage that as a staff and a group that, you guys don't still make that decision to leave. Even though you come to an agreement financially, there's still an opportunity for people to leave.
So theoretically, you could have a player who you successfully re-upped with in early mid-January, and you're like, glad we got that done. And then 3 months later, you could have that same player say, well, I really showed out during the spring, and I need a better deal, or else I'm going to this school. That's kind of wild. Is that?
Well, and I think, I don't think we have any of those type of kids, because I think, again, I've always said that one of the best things that Dabo does and his staff is create culture. So I don't think we have the me's in our culture. I think the threat of it is the guys that are not your bona fide starters. So the guys that are your second team guys or your third team guys, that's where that threat to me, as far as that second portal opening comes in, is those guys that feel like, hey, I can go somewhere else and be a starter and play. So I think that's more what this time and what coaches think about more so than your guys, your Peter Woods or Parkers or any of those guys.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up, because I just wrote something today with one of the big takeaways sort of from the spring game was seeing, and I don't know how closely you paid attention, but Vic Burley was really disruptive. Jaheim Lawson had himself a day. Christopher Verzina looked really sharp, and several others as well. Of course, the transfer receiver Tristan Smith, who's not going to be a starter, He was the story of the day. And you can look at it and say, okay, I guess my premise in the article was depth in this era with the portal and all that is not nearly what it used to be. Like the 2016 Alabama defense that Clemson played in Tampa, their third team linebackers were probably better than most teams' starting linebackers. And you could say the same thing maybe about Georgia's 2021 defense. Well, that's kind of over now. Those guys are transferring to a large degree. And I guess my point is, if Clemson is able to keep most, if not all of these guys, they could have some extraordinary depth because there's some real talent beyond those A-list players that you referred to a minute ago. You agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, you think about it like this, Larry. I mean, if, Clemson, they are not going to start recruiting 5-star, 4-star players, 3-star players, right? Every year, if I'm signing a quarterback, I'm trying to sign the best quarterback. If I'm signing a tight end, I'm trying to sign the best tight end. If I'm signing a D lineman, a defensive end, I'm trying to get the best defensive end. Well, you already got some of the best defensive ends, tight ends, quarterbacks already on your roster. So what kid that is playing at that level wants to come to a place and sit down and not play for multiple years? You're not going to see that anymore. So I may come and sign, but if I'm not playing in a couple of years and I'm that high level of a player, sometimes I'm not playing the first year if you're a 5-star in today's climate. I'm going somewhere else. That's what the kids are doing. And so as a staff, you can't start recruiting because of that, but you're also not going to hold a roster of 3-4 deep at a high level. Those days are over. And you're exactly right. And it's because of the portal and the financial implications of a kid coming to your school.
But I guess that's my point, is that this seems to be, and obviously this is subject to change because, again, the portal opens next week, and Clemson is not fully immune to that. But it feels like to me that you have an abnormally high number of guys who ordinarily might have gone by now. Like, okay, so Christopher Verzina, he was a top 100 quarterback coming out of high school. He's in his third year. And he's still not going to be the starter in his third year. That's abnormal. Like if Vic Burley stays, and I haven't heard anything indicating he's leaving, having your backup defensive tackles in 2025 be Amari Adams and Vic Burley, assuming Burley's healthy, I mean, I think he's really good when he's healthy. That's probably not normal. Most schools out there, even the top 10 variety, don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
Although I haven't studied everybody else, disclaimer there. I could be, talking out of turn there. But it just feels like they could be hitting on something in addition to their A-list players reminding us of the glory days. Cade Klubnik looking like maybe the best quarterback in college football. TJ Moore, Wesco, on down the line. Peter Woods, Parker. In addition to that, you have rotational guys who potentially, underline potentially, some real players, it seems like. I guess that was the gist of what I was talking about.
Yeah. And again, I think the culture of Clemson is very powerful into holding on to those players. I think that's the difference in Clemson in a lot of places.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference when Clemson is not a portal program in the sense of we're signing 6, 7, 8 guys every year out of the portal, or 10 or 12. You're never going to see that because we develop talent, we retain talent. You go lose players every year. That's always going to happen. Now, this is going to happen. But you want to keep your core, and you think about it. I look at my son's class, which Josh got redshirted, but you think about the players in that class with Cade and Jaheim and Josh and who some of the Antonio Williams, and think about all these kids that have stayed in that class. That was a good class they had, but you didn't lose a lot of those players. Adam Randall is another guy, changed positions, stayed. So Clemson does it better than a lot of people, man. You have to give them the credit to that. Kids aren't just running because they think there's a better opportunity somewhere else.
How many practices would you say you went to during the spring?
I went to all the scrimmages and a couple. I probably went to 6. Probably, yeah, 5 or 6.
That's a lot.
Practices. Yeah.
What would you say, I guess, created the biggest impact or the biggest impression overall? Maybe the biggest difference, I guess you could say. Just, I don't know. What was your biggest takeaway from all those practices you saw? Just getting a feel for things.
Yeah. I think, and I know we mentioned talent and we mentioned the national championship teams, but I think this team is by far more talented than the team last year and previous years. So to me, it's the depth at the important positions. It's depth at the talent with your playmakers, both offensively and defense, that I haven't seen in a long time. And I think Clemson has been dang on the subject to me of bad luck with all the injuries they've had over the last years at the receiver position. But if this receiving core stays healthy, in my mind, it's probably going to be one of the best cores that they've ever had, even with the Nuke Hopkins and Sammy and all of that group. Collectively, I haven't seen a group like this. I think even, Jake was a big part of our offense last year. And, one of the best tight ends that have played at Clemson. But I think collectively, this group of tight ends and what each of them bring is going to be impactful. I think depth at defensive line, linebacker last year hurt us. And that depth at defensive line now is stout. Our offensive line has depth. A lot of those guys have played a lot of snaps, and they're healthy. So if this team stays healthy, and I will say that again, if this team stays healthy, this team could go a long way because all of the right pieces are there. And now your quarterback has become the guy that he has become. And so your pieces are there, I think, because Riley is more familiar with the kids he's coaching and understand, his culture and have settled into being the OC at Clemson. And you've added some great coaches on the staff, man. The energy, the passion, the experience as coaches have gone way up. So, that team is dangerous over there, man. That team could really do some great things this year.
Tom Allen said recently, he said, Coach Swinney doesn't spend much time in our defensive meeting rooms, and I appreciate that. You get the feeling that wasn't the case over the last 3 years, that Dabo spent a lot of time on the defensive side. It feels like now they're almost like two head coaches, just their voices.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you think about when Clemson was successful in meaning national championship level, you had a D coordinator that you didn't have to do nothing about. You didn't have to deal with it. You didn't have to keep your nose in it. You didn't have to stress about it. Brent Venables was that guy. I tell people this, I knew Dabo was going to be great when I saw him fire Billy Napier. because it's hard for young coaches to fire friends. But then when he brought in Chad, and Chad was a very, you understand Chad as a coach, man. He's a dominant coach. And so Dabo didn't have to deal with offense. So guess what it allowed Dabo to do, to me, which is his strength. Not the X and O part, but his strength is being a leader of the program, being able to understand each kid and every kid that you coach that is on your roster and have a relationship with each one of them and manage the program and all the details that surrounds your entire program. Well, if I got to worry about offense and calling plays and da-da-da, I can't do that effectively. If I got to worry about defense, I can't be me as effective as I need to be. So you bring in Tom and now you got Riley doing his thing, and you got the confidence that they do their jobs. Now it allowed me to be the best that I can be. And that's to motivate these young men every weekend, every day. Is set the tone. It's to set the expectations. Da-da-da-da-da. All those things that he does well. Build my culture, strengthen my culture. Man, that's where he's at his best. And so I think he can settle into that now. And you're going to see him, I think, in my opinion, go back to truly being that type of head coach.
The volume and the authority among the assistants has gone up. It just feels night and day from, say, 3 years ago. Matt Luke, I'm watching him through my binoculars Saturday, and this is during their warm-ups. They're going through various drills, and he's on their asses, as if it's 30 minutes before the LSU game, and then Tom Allen, of course, is just all over the place, vocally. But you also have Chris Rumpf, Nick Eason. It just feels like there's more expertise, more authority, I guess, if that makes any sense.
It does. I can tell you this again. My son plays tight end, but he loved Coach Luke too. He's like, Dad, he's simplified it for me. He simplified our calls between me and the tackles. I know what he's going to call and how we're going to block things before he even communicates with me. And that was Coach. And so he's been infectious, man. And Dabo tried to experiment, which, again, I like about the guy is, he tried to have a young staff. He gave guys chances to be position coaches that, we may all think they didn't deserve it or deserved it. Whatever your opinion is there, that's your opinion. But, he gave guys chances, and he thought it could work out. And it didn't. To his credit, he changed it, corrected it. So, that's what I like about him is, hey, man, he will give you a chance. He'll give you an opportunity. And they don't always work out. And that hired a bunch of young guys with a little bit of experience together all at one time didn't work out. And so now I think you're seeing what you're seeing because of that.
So Olsen Pat Henry, did he miss the entire spring?
Yes.
He had a shoulder.
Yeah.
Just clean up after the season, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you make of Bittencourt?
Oh, I think he's going to be a good tight end. I think he's still learning. He's definitely has some size and some tangibles there that he can catch the football and he could block. And so that's why I said that room is talented. My son has grown in the blocking space, but he has exceptional skills as a receiver and routes, and his growth has been or needed to be being able to block every aspect of the offense. And so that was his leap to do and prove this spring. And I think he's proven that. And I think Bittencourt, his growth was just learning the offense and and getting better at what he does all around, and being a complete tight end as well. I think Olsen proved that last year that he can do that. And the way Coach Rich announced it, I don't have a starter. We all competing for a job, and I appreciate that about him. Is that he's allowing guys to compete, and as a player, that's all you can ask for.
I think
that group is good. It's a good group.
I know you're close with Tyler Brown. It sounds like he really showed some things during the spring.
Yeah, I mean, we all saw when he was healthy who he was, right? And it's just a crazy thing that, he wasn't healthy last year at all. And then you got a bunch of young guys come in and do their thing and, at a level that is elite. And so you kind of get, your spot you kind of lose it, right? Just because of injury. Not that you can't play at that level, but now you get a chance to get in the spring, and he don't complain, man. He just went to work and showed them, hey, I'm still here. I'm still that guy. And so, that's what we've seen. And so that you think about that, man. One last time we had truly, we got 6 elite guys at the wide receiver position. Like that's different now.
Yeah,
that's different. But he's gonna contribute. He's gonna play, man, and it just when you have opportunity, it makes you hungrier even for those opportunities. And so that's what it adds to those guys.
Upstate foodies, want to take a moment to talk to you about our favorite taco spot, Willie Taco. 5 locations across the upstate. This award-winning team has been serving up fresh taco fusion for a solid decade now. The chefs at Willie Taco utilize the freshest, most creative, and sometimes unexpected ingredients in their kitchens. Come see why Southern Living, Garden and Gun, and Food and Wine Magazine are raving about Willie Taco and their signature offerings, such as their Southern Tide, crispy avocado, Nashville hot chicken tacos, literally flavors you will not find anywhere else, folks. And don't forget about the cocktails. Super fresh margaritas, ice cold cerveza, and over 80 tequilas served up daily from behind the bar. So don't wait, folks. Your Willie Taco Familia is ready to serve you up their twist on funky, fresh fusion. It's the Willie way. Listen up, Clemson Tiger fans. Founders Federal Credit Union has a new office right on campus in the Hendricks Center. We're here to serve you with the financial tools you need and the personalized service you deserve. Not on campus, Founders has an office conveniently located on Old Greenville Highway. Stop by or visit foundersfcu.com to learn more and apply for a membership. Relax, you're with Founders. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Another loyal supporter of the Dubcast is Blackacre Law Firm in Greenville, a subsidiary of Parham Smith and Archambault. Blackacre helps South Carolina residents achieve their dreams of home ownership by providing experienced professional representation for real estate closings. Attention to detail is crucial in real estate law. Blackacre is committed to making sure nothing gets by them preparing residential or commercial closings. Blackacre also offers estate planning services for their clients in the Greenville area. Find out more about Blackacre at 864-326-3507. I think I remember last August you being pretty high on Cade Klubnik and the progress he had shown, he and the entire offense had shown during the offseason and during camp in particular. I think I was maybe a little more pessimistic. I was finding it harder to believe, but obviously you won. You look better in that from that discussion than I do. What do you think? What did you see back then? And I hate 2-part questions, but second part is, how do you think he needs to be? What do you think he needs to do that he hasn't done for this offense to get where it needs to go?
Man, that's a great question. The things that I saw in Cade really is he's always had the ability to throw the football. And the mistakes he was making was just mistakes of just you're being immature at the position. And the mistakes that I saw him making was because he had so much success as a high school quarterback. And so I felt like when he matured more and when he was matured and understanding the players at this level are different, they're elite, and those decision-making change, his production will go way up. It wasn't that he could never do it. It's just immature and not understanding the players you're playing with and against. But I knew that would, the longer he's here, the more he's developed, that will change. And that's what you saw. You saw a better decision when to run the football, when to throw it away, not when to force it, when to take a attempt at because again, you got to have an element of a gunslinger too. You got to be able to fit some footballs in there that you shouldn't probably throw, but you got the confidence to do it. And hey, we make a play on the ball and we continue drives or we get a touchdown. So I think you saw all that come together last year for him. To me, the growth now for him, if I was talking to him personally, and maybe he isn't doing this, but I think when you see him do this, if he's really doing it at an awesome time, is to start the game plan with Coach Riley, so that you understand why he called what he called, why he does the things that he do, and how he approach the game from a game planning standpoint. The elite quarterbacks do that. I don't know if he is or isn't, but I think if he is not doing that, to do that this offseason and to do that at an element of once the season starts, then you will see his decision making and how he views the game totally change to an elite level. So that would be my advice to him, that I would like to see him take that leap.
When he was struggling, I guess, his first season as the starter, and even last offseason, you heard from people close to the team, yeah, he's not a great leader, I guess. Maybe sort of does his own thing, but I mean, is that a little overrated that like game knows game, and so when he goes up there and shows out last season, that's the leadership really by example? Or is what I just said kind of misplaced? Is his leadership still very important, and has he elevated his maybe sort of in conjunction with playing better, he's a better leader with sort of how he handles himself?
I think it's almost that chicken and eggs thing, right? I think leadership is not leadership if your play doesn't match. And I think when you're leading men, you could talk all you want, but actions got to match your talk. And, from a quarterback standpoint, you are judged on wins and losses. You are judged as how you contribute to the wins and losses. And so last year they matched more. I can be verbal when I'm being successful, and people will follow me. And I think that's what you have seen with the leadership standpoint. But as a quarterback, just by being a quarterback, I should say, and then when you're the starting quarterback, you are a leader automatically, even if you want it or don't want it. And so you just got to lead by that example. So I think he's grown more confidence in the leadership standpoint. And I think you see the guys reacting because success has followed and matches his verbal aspect of being a leader.
All right. We want to talk about the One Clemson golf event you got. Is that this weekend?
Yes, it is, man. It's Sunday, Monday.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a great tournament, man. This is our 11th year. But I won Clemson board, Larry's some things that I created, 12 years ago now. And it was the time that I retired and was working back at Clemson doing development work that this idea come about. and it was truly something that I envisioned. And so our original board and our board now is really comprised of, our prestigious student athletes, or former athletes, I should say, and then our successful business alums. It's come together in this board. And that first couple of years, when we just figuring out where we truly want to help, and the idea I had was really by working there and getting to know some of the current student athletes in all sports, man, were graduating, Larry, and could not get a job. And I'm like, man, if anybody knew you that owned a job, that was a business owner, will hire you in a minute, because you're great, great young people can manage their time, has discipline, all the things it takes to be a high level athlete. Man, it works in the work environment. But because they're so focused on education and school and their sport, they didn't network. They didn't do interns. They didn't meet people. And so as we started to look around the entire university, we met with everybody, every corner of the university, all the different colleges within the university. We settled on truly raising money and supporting student athlete internships. And that is all we've been doing for the last 11 years. And we are north of, I think, $400,000 that we've raised over 11 years. We're now providing up to 35 to 40 scholarships a year with our student athletes. And it's the UPIC scholarship and internship that we support. And literally just about everything we raise goes straight to that outside of the expenses of the golf tournament and all of that. And we support football too, but we support every sport really outside of football. Because football, they do a great job, with what they have internally. But, our women's soccer, men's soccer, baseball players, softball players, we track athletes, man, we have supported them over these years. And it is good to watch the fruits of our labor, because those young men and women are getting hired in their fields where they've interned. And they're now coming back to support the golf tournament, to support and helping us to raise money for the current student athlete. So it's a win-win, man. It's a fun thing. We play it. The golf tournament is Monday at Holly Tree. Shotgun starts at 10. We have 5 more teams to sell, so we max it out. I always cap it at 28 teams. And so we're at 23 right now, and I want to get these 5 sold. And people can purchase teams, really by going to one-clemson.com. And again, that's one-clemson.com. And you could go on there and purchase the individual spot if you don't have a foursome. Or you could go on and you can pay for a foursome, and it's a Captain Short Celebrity Tournament. And we have some great folks, student athletes, both current and former, that are playing in the tournament this year. So, off the current team this year, man, we have Antonio Williams playing in the tournament. My son, Josh Sapp, is going to play in. Wade Woodass is going to play in the tournament as well. And we got a couple more guys we're talking to right now. Cade being one of them that is possibly going to play in the tournament. And then our very own coach is going to play. Coach Swinney is going to play.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, in the years we've had Brad Brownell play in it. And also, I forgot this. Coach Poppy. Coach Poppy's playing in it again this year. So we have great support from the staff and from the current folks as well. Nick Easton's going to play in it this year. CJ's going to play in it as a celebrity as well this year. that is off our current staff. So it's a great time, and I have a great board, Larry, that really, man, none of us are getting paid for this, that really put their time in. So I would like to give them a shout out. Leslie Callison is on the board this year. Deron Coley, which was one of our track athletes. Becky Easton, Matt Forbush, Dan Garrison, Sharon Kingman, which leads our auction and put a lot of time into this over the years. Randy Sturgis, Will Swinney. So Will is on our board. Richmond Weaver, Neil Wilson. And then our advisory board is myself, Jeff Bush, Steve Coleman, Rick Lucas, CJ Spiller, and Charlie Whitehurst. And so that's our current board, man. And they give us their time, and we really appreciate the things that we do, but we have a good time doing it at the same time.
Charlie Whitehurst is going to be there?
Yep.
That's the biggest star of all.
Played it every year. You said what?
That's the biggest star of all.
Yeah, and just our president right now, I don't know if you remember John Hart, but John Hart is our president. Judah Davis, so the Davis boys, Judah is our vice president, and Russ Kingman is our secretary. And Bob Bush is our treasurer. So that's the board that we have, man, and it's fun working with them. But it's good to see. You think about Judah Davis and Will Swinney, and those guys are, young guys just kind of finished, and they're already a part of it and giving back. So that's special to see.
No doubt. Just curious. I think we talked about this in our last chat a couple months ago, but you've been doing this particular endeavor for, you said 13 years?
Yep. Golf tournaments, this is the 11th year, and it's been 12 years.
Okay.
Yep.
This might not be applicable because, like you said, you're dealing with a lot of Olympic sports athletes, but is it harder in general to get college kids to pay as much attention to the value of internships and education, when some of them are, have $800,000 in their bank accounts now?
It's not, because again, I go back to the culture of Clemson. And I can tell you, it's been apparent. Like, my son has, participated in PAW Journey. He's been on the student council leadership committee for all of athletics. Like, his involvement in just watching him in those spaces, it speaks about the total person and not just football or basketball. And so I think the kids get a good, drenching of, if you will, of understanding that you're not going to be an athlete forever. You need to get to know people. You need to network with people. You need to think about career. You need to think about all these things. So it is definitely, it's actually gotten better. I've seen year in and year out as a participation in the conversation that surrounds interning and becoming a business person, a business leader, or an industry leader. Like, those conversations are being had. And so to me, that's what a college education is. The degree is a small part of the college education. To me, very small part of it. It's just a qualification, a degree. The education is getting to know people, understanding different people that are different than you, being receptive to ideas that you may not have ever engaged before, that may be different than what you understand, but being able to be willing to engage that and learn from that or add to it. That is what the education of me is about. And so I see the kids getting better at those things, way better than when I was in school. But I see them getting better at it, even with money being a part of it now.
It's almost like there's so much the specialization of athletics, from an early age, while there's lots of maybe negative byproducts of that, maybe one of the positive byproducts of that is you just have more of a network around a particular athlete, and you spend more time thinking about it, and thus there's more of a support system and more thought put into the realities of, okay, even if you do, have a lot of success at the college level, maybe even the NFL level, there's more thought put into, hey, the realities of your career is not going to last that long.
Right. Yep. Exactly. And I think kids have more information and more knowledgeable, and they understand that element. But, PAW Journey with football, man, is unbelievable. The work that Rashard Hall when he was at Clemson, and what Jeff Davis and Jeff Dorter that's leading it now. Like, they think of everything. And I give my hats off to the athletic department of football because they give them the budget to be creative and be truly impactful in that space. So, the kids think differently. Even from a freshman, they're engaging them already as soon as they get there. They're engaging them with this. They're not waiting till they're junior, senior. They're already engaged as a freshman.
How do you choose who you give these scholarships to, and how does it sort of apply to their internships, and how does it work?
Yes, well, we don't choose the student athletes. So we work with the athletic department. They self-identify, and then through the different leadership and engagement things, they engage these student athletes with, do they want to participate in the UPIC program? And so it's a semester-long internship. And with UPIC, it's truly exactly kind of what it says. Hey, you could pick the area that you want to work in. You're a marketing major, you're thinking about marketing, you could work with the marketing department. If you want to work with leadership and higher ed, you work in the president's office. So the great thing about it is they don't have to go to Greenville to do the internship. Because you think about a college and a university, it has every element of business that any city has, right? Every department, everything, engineering, everything you can think of is within a university. And so we pay for that internship with that different department on campus. And that's how it works. So they don't have to drive 50 minutes away from school to go get an intern, to go learn, to go network, to go engage. They get those working opportunities right on campus with the different departments.
And you sort of alluded to this, but I would guess that part of your passion for this stems from during your playing days, there wasn't really that support system or structure or anything just beyond, okay, you're done. See ya. Thanks for what you did on the football field. We appreciate it.
Hey, I'm laughing because to keep from crying. You're right. It was nothing there in that space. But it really hit me when I came back to Clemson and started working there. Again, I was around on campus, so you naturally been an athlete, you go get to know some of the young athletes. They go look up to you and talk to you. And again, when they were graduating, they would call me because they know, hey, I've been in the world and know people, and you know anybody hiring? You know anybody that, hiring? And I'm like, we gotta do something about this, because I know by knowing this young man or this young woman that if any business owner got to know them for an hour, they would be offering them a job. And so I just figured we had to do something in that space to help there. Like we gotta focus on that. It's a lot of support that the university provides, but student athletes are somewhat at a disadvantage just because of the commitment that they have with their sport and academics that they get missed. And so we wanted to kind of help solve that problem.
Yeah, back then it was just like, Vickery Hall was great. But that just focused on sort of while you're here, I guess, and just the academic side of it.
Yeah, it was
strictly.
Yeah, Vickery Hall was strictly academics, which was great now. But I used Vickery Hall and I needed it, from tutors to, really help everything academically that you need is supported in that space. But the career side of it, it didn't do anything with that.
Well, Patrick, that sounds awesome, and I know y'all are going to have a wonderful time, and we're going to do everything we can to help promote it on the website, tigerillustrated.com and elsewhere. So y'all have a blast. I'm sure with that cast of characters, it's hard not to.
Yeah, man. It's, I tell people all the time, man, people ask you, do you miss pro football? What do you miss about pro football? And I'm like, man, the fellowship of the guys. So when we have, the one Clemson tournament, we all get together the night before, we have a little reception, and man, it's just the sharing of the stories and the memories, right? And, every year I always joke about those stories get embellished more and more. It might have started out as a 60-yard touchdown 4 years ago. Now it was the longest touchdown in Death Valley ever. And, those stories grow. But that's what I look forward to, just seeing how guys are doing with their kids and what the kids are into. And, I'm happy to have Coach Swinney because in some of the current guys' plays so that they can get a chance to, think about it, spend time, away from football together in a sense, right? Whereas it's a totally different thing. So I think about those types of soft moments that guys will remember that impacts, the guys that come back and support this, the people that are playing in the golf tournament, the wisdom that's there, the business opportunities in that space, a chance for the young guys to really see how all that works and for them to engage and gain confidence in that space. So those are the things that are important to me, and we're all doing it by supporting them overall. So, man, I look forward to it every year. And again, man, I couldn't do none of this without the years of support from Clemson family and friends and especially my board members.
Well, good on you for all of your efforts and philanthropic endeavors as well beyond that. Very impressive, and can't wait to hear more about it. We'll certainly have you on again, hopefully sooner rather than later.
All right, brother. You can hit the golf ball, right? You get out and hit some?
I'm retired.
Come out and play? You retired?
I bought a boat instead about 15 years ago.
Hey, well, you know what? You're doing better there because I love being on the boat myself. So
much better use of my time.
Yep, exactly. Well,
appreciate you, Patrick.
All right, brother. Appreciate you.
Man, that is always fun talking to Patrick Sapp. Such a valuable piece of the Clemson community. Devotes so much of his time to giving back and helping people who walked in his footsteps. If you want to rub elbows with him, Dabo, Charlie Whitehurst at this golf tournament, sign up. Sounds like a blast. Appreciate the support of our sponsors for their long-running partnership with the podcast. Also, thanks to every single one of you for listening. Really appreciate it. Cheers.